What's the biggest indicator you have a crush on someone? Thinking of them while you read through the answers to this post. Source: me.rn. I'm normally pretty humorous without trying too hard because basically I don't give a fuck, but the second I start liking someone, I turn into an awkward dumbass who tells stories with no climax. Trying to better yourself in even the slightest ways possible to seem more appealing to them. Your heart drops and starts beating faster if you see them unexpectedly. You find excuses to talk to them. You like hearing or reading their name. You just can't stop looking at them. I remember being in the same class with my crush and I tired to sit next to him or look at him and smile at the idea of us being together. We used to have cute eye contacts and I would always look away because my heart would literally explode. Turns out he liked the girl sitting next to me, LMAO. For me, it's when I start having delightful dreams about them. Not sexual, just the kind of dream where simply being around them is all I could ever want. The kind where you wake up filled with sunshine and rainbows. Then you really wake up and you realize it was all just a dream and you're doomed to only ever live that life while you're sleeping. When I have a crush on someone, I can't help but notice everything about them. Like, all the same things that I'd never notice or care to notice if it was someone else. Suddenly all those songs make sense. Yep. I just realized after developing a crush just how many love songs by Billy Joel I listen to. It's spooky. Automatically getting a smile when you get a message from them. I even have this girl I had a thing with a different notification noise. Pretty sure I Pavloved myself because I still get butterflies when I hear that same tone like 3 years after it didn't work out. Adjusting my schedule slightly so we cross paths more often. Well, I needed to go downstairs anyway. I used to draw her. I used to lie in bed and make up stories in my head of picking her up at school in my super hot car, getting married, having an amazing life after school with her. The weirdest thing is after school I kept doing this. I just couldn't get her out of my mind. Sometimes I would see her at parties and she would make me giddy. 6 years after school I met a very wise person who encouraged me to track my crush down and tell her of my love for her. So with all my courage I did. A year later I married her. That was 30 years ago and every day I wake up I still pinch myself to see if I'm dreaming. I can't make eye contact. It actually looks like I'm trying to avoid the person and they usually think I don't like them. I'm a confusing person apparently. You can't stop thinking of them. Like how I can't stop thinking of my crush. Finding any reason possible to talk to them. Whenever a group of you laugh together, they will look at you while laughing. Having to ask Reddit is a pretty big sign, mate. This thread is really messing with me because it's making me face the fact that I haven't had a crush at all in the past 4 years of college. Plenty of indicators, but the biggest one by far has got to be acting all nervous around them. Whenever you talk to them or see them, your heart starts beating faster and your face starts feeling hot. I know this sounds cliché, but it's true. Remember this back in high school, was talking to a guy just as an acquaintance. We started saying hi at lunch and stuff and had chats. I knew him since junior year since we had geometry class. He was extremely attractive, got a lot of attention from girls, and I acknowledged that in my head, but felt nothing for him and was already in a relationship anyway. He would do nice stuff, get my books for me, smile ear to ear, and say hi then, but we never had conversation. I didn't know that even then, he had a crush on me. That's why he was doing all of that. He stopped around the time he got a GF. Senior year he started trying to befriend me and talk to me more and seemed like a nice guy. Then one time I saw him walk in during lunch. He looked in my direction and waved like he normally did. I waved back, and all of a sudden I became aware. I could hear my heart beating in my ear and felt it in my chest and my ears felt hot. My face immediately straightened and I said to myself, "Oh." I immediately knew what that meant. I subconsciously start touching, fixing my hair. Others do this too. I've seen it, LOL. When you see them, your breathing either stops or quickens, your chest feels like it's going to explode, your face starts feeling hot, your palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. But, I think the major sign is when they never leave your mind, not even for an instant, and when somehow you can get them out of your head, they aren't gone long. By the way, after rereading my post, this could also be signs that you are dying. I'll start to feel angry when he talks to other girls. Why do you feel angry? Because I'm jealous. Phenolphthalein. I'd rather use BT Blue, because it also shows how much you have a crush on them. Phenolphthalein only shows that you have a crush on them. Marry them or something, I don't know. If my crush asks me a question, I literally die. I become illiterate and the usual butterflies in stomach, and your heart actually skips a beat. So if they are unusually nervous around you, it's easy to tell. You'll know when you experience it. When the person becomes the center of your universe and everything revolves around them in your thoughts and feelings. Every time you see them, you start smiling like a fool. I seem like a blet herring dork, and more eye contact. Usually I give little to no eye contact. If you're really uncomfortable with eye contact, it often means that you have a crush on them. Funny story of an extreme case of this: once I had a crush on a girl and she ended up hating me for it. I screwed up really bad, but that doesn't matter. And we had assigned seats across from each other in our science class. I was literally terrified to look up all semester. I think the biggest indicator is that you get their name in one of those Facebook quizzes. When you look forward to coming to work because you know they'll be there, and you interact with them every day. For me, this is a problem because she's my employee and she's married. When I'm afraid of her and yet I'm excited to see her. Pretty much sums it up, to be honest. You just lose control over your mind whenever they come around. Like you do everything you can to get her attention. Act extremely platonic and avoid talking directly because I'm too nervous. I act weirdly. When she's mad at me or sad for some reason, I become extremely negative. I can only think negatively that no one likes me. That is true. I ain't gonna get nowhere in life and I have suicidal thoughts. For me, it's when I see her face on every other girl I see. I'll start seeing her face in actresses, singers, anyone. I have a bit of trouble falling asleep sometimes, but when I imagine scenarios in which I include my crush, or imagine them being right there next to me, helps me sleep. It doesn't work with anyone other than those I've had crushes on. Hoping every snap is from them. When they look in your direction and your heart starts beating really fast, you start sweating, and smiling. You start liking new things that you haven't previously showed interest in because they like it. When they softly whisper "please get off me" with their last breath is a big indicator of crushing. Depends on how you define crush. I have had both "oh she's really cute" crushes and "oh man, I really have feelings for this girl" crushes. The former almost always precedes the latter. I'm going to tell a little story. I've been on a few dates in my lifetime thus far. Let's call two of the girls G and S. I went on a date with G one summer, but I never had any feelings towards her. I went on the date because she sorta asked me out and I had never been on a date before. After the date, I forgot all about it and I moved on. We were still friends, but I never thought of her in a romantic way. Then I went on a date with S a few months ago. She was pretty much my type all the way. She was attractive, sweet as hell, fun, a little bit social, awkward. It was a cute kind of awkward. And she was just so cute and innocent that I just wanted to hug her. I woke up the morning after that date and I had a really sick stomach and I realized that I legitimately liked her. And yes, that feeling sucked. Having full-blown crushes hurts, because you get so nervous around them and you can't stop thinking about them. You know that feeling when you're leaning back in a chair and you nearly fall but at the very last second you catch yourself? When you feel like that all the time, you're either Stephen Wright or you're in love. For me, it's avoiding them because I don't want to be too obvious. Man, I wish that I knew. A couple years back there was this girl that I liked. We would talk a bit in the class that we had, it was nothing too serious. When I told my brother that I liked her, his girlfriend told me that this girl would lead people on quite often. It wasn't a huge deal for me. I would still talk to this girl here and there but with no plans to do anything about it. Then next year started, and in my writing class my assigned seat was right next to her. It was weird. she started to talk to me a lot more and was initiating most all of the conversations. Then she invited me to go trick or treating with her and her friends. I keep in my mind what my brother's girlfriend said and said that I probably couldn't go. She kept asking me to go throughout the day and even offered to give me a ride, so I eventually caved in and went with her. Everything stayed the same for about a month. She kept talking to me a lot, but I still didn't ask her out. And then she bought me a birthday present. A couple days prior, her brother, who I was friends with, asked me what my favorite candy was. Then on my birthday she gave me this candy, a cute little note. I was really surprised. I've dated girls that have done less than that for me, so I started to seriously consider asking her out. I decided to talk to my brother's GF about it again, and I told her what was going on. She said that this girl has never been like this to people that she has lead on, and though I should go for it. So only days later I grew a pair and asked this girl out. Just for her to tell me that she was interested in someone else's. I've been pretty much terrified of talking to girls since. The disquieted after they've yet to respond to a mundane text message, and you're now misconstruing their silence as dismissal from their life. That intoxicating anxiety can be quite indicative of who you're infatuated with. You're never perturbed by people who have a negligible position in your life, but you're disproportionately anxious towards those you hold great affection for. Telling boring stories about them to people who have never met them. I don't get people who ask this. I had a crush once, but I knew from the beginning. To me it seems like asking how do I know that I am hungry. You have a weak spot for them that doesn't adhere to reason. Source: I haven't had a crush for years, but from kindergarten to elementary school, 7 years, I had an unbreakable crush on this one girl. Met her again after high school. She still got it, even though she's become quite a bitch and I normally can't stand girls like that. But for her, yeah, I made quite a lot of exceptions until she moved away. Can't help it. Making plans with the whole group, even tough, you just want to see her again. I think it was John Green. He once said that he had his first date with his wife by sending out an email to all of his friend group, including the future wife, that he had an extra movie ticket and anyone who wanted it could come see the movie with him. This email was followed by a second one to everyone but his future wife saying, "Not you." When you make a fool of yourself in front of them constantly, you get nervous and fidgety and make yourself look like an idiot sometimes. Source: me. P.S. I know that probably nobody cares, but it turns out that she likes me back. So that's one of the biggest wins ever for me. I run away and avoid interacting with them at all costs. Making a post on r/AskReddit to subliminally get tips from other Redditors. I feel shy, awkward going up to chat to them about something. Wouldn't bother me at all if I didn't have a crush on them. Whenever something fantastic or terrible happens, she is the one person I want to tell. Once I realized this, I always know when I actually like someone or just want something physical. I would say it becomes apparent when they are on your mind most of the time, or when you are reminded of them by things you see or hear throughout the day. This is my hell. XD. My personal tell? I avoid them, because if I like them, there is zero chance they would be interested in me, so I don't want to annoy them. I have been told I am super annoying, and that is not done something I want to share. When you start to be mean to your crush to throw them off the scent of you liking them. That's how you know. According to the Reddit hive mind, rolling up my sleeves, showering every day, changing my sheets weekly, light touch on the arm or shoulder in a non-creepy way, making excuses to see them, laughing at silly jokes, thinking about them when they are not around. If your day becomes substantially better whenever you see them. Meanwhile, you are reading all the comments to figure out whether your crush has a crush on you as hell. I'm an older guy who is married, but watching younger people interacting with each other, it's always so frigging obvious when younger adults have crushes on each other. I can't even really pinpoint why, maybe I'm just perceptive or imagining things. Time and time again I'm like, dude, just ask her out already. She likes you too. Jesus. Are both of you frigging blind? It always seems so painfully obvious to me looking from the outside. Then I look back on all the gals I crushed on who I never asked out and realize she was probably just waiting for me to ask, and I was that guy once too. Won't talk to them. Red as a tomato. And awkward around them. When you see some other dude make her laugh and you just want to kick the other dude's ass. Thinking of them a little more and more. Checking your Instagram story viewers every minute, then stop checking after you saw her name. That tinge of jealous when they talk to someone else. 'Cause you want them to focus on you. When you beat your meat and you still wanna hang out with the person. You smile way too much around them. I found myself grinning like an idiot when I was around my now wife when we were out getting a beer after work or working out together. All of the little things they do make you feel happy. You anticipate running into them everywhere you go. You talk about them with others like they're your new favorite book. You can't remember a single word you said to them the last time you talked. You learn to love the things they love even they're wildly different. Your lungs feels like they fill up with light when you talk to them. You trust them to do well in life and think the things they pursue are so cool. Your eyes are drawn towards them, no matter what's going on. Maybe not staring, but ultimately all roads lead back to them. Constantly imagining different scenarios involving them as the main character besides you. I'm not exactly sure if I'm the only one that does that, but if not, then, there you go. I become more protective of them instinctively. Not overprotective, but if anyone is slightly threatening or negative, I can't help responding it. And I try to be around them more. Repeatedly glancing at her before she looks back. I know when it's a crush because it always seems to be someone completely disinterested, distant, or unavailable. Which usually comes with feeling of being crushed. I've since basically given up dating because I'm so bad at it. So I'll just stick with getting crushes. Blushing. One time a person I thought was pretty but didn't know that well came up behind me when I was sitting at a table, said hi, and put her hands on my shoulders in just a friendly kind of way. Everyone sitting at the table pointed at me right away and said, "Whoa, look at Wegverfen blushing." It was embarrassing at that moment, but I guess it was a tell, because sure enough we did eventually hook up. Repeatedly glancing at her before she looks back. When you tell a joke in a group, and your first instinct is to see if they laughed. You get flustered at just the thought big spending personal, quality time with them, and when it does happen, it feels overwhelming at first. Kinda like trying ecstasy for the first time, except it feels like the entire fate of the universe is hanging in the balance the moment you decide to go talk to him, her. For me personally, I act like I dislike them so much that the thought of me having a crush on them would be absolutely idiotic. Or rather, that's the way I act when I have a crush on them, but I am unsure of their feelings towards me. Suddenly getting interested on what kind of music, movies, stuff he likes and suddenly enjoying all of that stuff. I'll send too many memes, ask too many questions, or text too frequently. When you lay your head down on your pillow and think about them. Sleep is scary when you think about it. Who's to say you'll wake to see another day? I think that if your last possible though is about someone you like, then that would qualify as a crush.